Nordson Corporation is proud to continue to invest in educational opportunities through our sponsorship of Academic Challenge. Nordson is a global leader in precision technology solutions with a long and proud history of giving back to the communities where we live and work. Each year, we donate 5% of our U.S. pre-tax profits to charitable endeavors, prioritizing programs that support STEM education, human welfare, and arts and culture. To date, Nordson and the Nordson Corporation Foundation have donated nearly $173 million to charities, awarded $7.5 million in scholarships, and our employees have logged more than 117,000 volunteer hours. Thank you for watching Academic Challenge. Best of luck to all the participants.
Teams from
Avon, Hiland,
Indian Valley
are here this morning for the Nordson Academic Challenge. Hey everybody, welcome to the Nordson Academic Challenge. I'm your host, Rob Powers. Thanks so much for being with us. Here is the challenge. For the next 30 minutes, our teams will be tested on their knowledge of subjects like math, science, history, a few others as well. One more time, let's hear it for our schools. Avon, Hiland, and Indian Valley. Today's winner will be the team with the highest point total at the end of today's 5 rounds. The 3 highest scoring teams for the season will be back then to play in our championship game, try to win a grand prize of $6,000 for their school, awarded by our friends at Nordson. So let's get it started. Here comes the lightning round. All 3 teams compete in this round. I'll ask 10 questions. They have a common theme. We award 20 points for a correct answer. We take away 20 points for an incorrect or no answer. Let's start every team with 100 points. Everybody ready? Here we go. Don't worry about getting wet. Answer these questions all about water. Water. Liquid water may exist on the moon Europa, which orbits this largest Avon.
Jupiter.
That is correct. In the Fahrenheit system, water boils at the temperature Hiland.
212.
That is correct. This huge African waterfalls is on the Zimbabwe-Zambia border. Avon.
Victoria.
That is correct. Richard Adams wrote this novel about a group of rabbits. Avon.
Watership Down.
That is correct. To protect teeth, an ion of this element, symbol F, is added to the drinking water. Hiland.
Fluorine.
That is correct. She brought water to American troops at the 1778 Battle of Monmouth. Hiland.
Molly Pitcher.
That is correct. You can buy Waterworks as a utility in this board game. Hiland.
Monopoly.
That is correct. The Watergate scandal occurred during this. Avon.
Nixon.
That is correct. Sarah Gruen wrote the novel Water for these pachyderms,
Elephants.
Indian Valley.
Elephants.
That is correct. The final question in this round comes from our friends at the Great Lakes Science Center. Here is the president and the CEO of the Science Center. It's Kirsten Ellenbogen.
Used in plutonium production reactors, deuterium oxide is referred to as this type of water.
Answer? Hiland.
Heavy.
Heavy water is right, and that's how we do it. That's the end of the round, everybody. We'll be back for our next round in today's big game right after this short timeout. Hey, welcome back to the Nordson Academic Challenge. If you'd like any more information about any of the teams that appear this season, scan the QR code you see in the upper right-hand corner of your screen with your cell phone. That code takes you to the news5cleveland.com academic challenge page where we have all the links for all this season's schools' websites right there. Time for us now to play Hot Picks. One at a time, I ask each team 8 questions selected by the captain of another team. Correct answer here is worth 20 points. No penalty for a wrong answer in this round. Any team answering all 8 questions correctly will receive 25 bonus points. But before we get to the questions and the answers, let's meet our players. Let's start at Avon. Aditya, you are the captain. Congratulations. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Aditya, and I'm a senior, and I'm also in Mall UN.
Congratulations. Thanks for being here. Hi, Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm a junior. I'm in GSA, esports, and hockey.
You were here last year?
Yes, I was.
Welcome back. Hi, Addison.
Hi, I'm Addison Hanna. I'm a varsity football and track player. I'm class president, and I sing a cappella in our school's musicals.
Other than that, any free time? No, too busy. Welcome this morning, Avon, everybody from Avon. For your questions, we go to Finn from Hiland. Finn, you got an open board. Envelope 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I'm going to go with 2.
2, you got it. Avon, let's remember these are all for you. All set? Here we go. The average house cat spends 15% of its day grooming itself and 70% in what activity associated with Rip Van Winkle?
Sleeping.
That is correct. In Gustav Holst's symphonic work, The Planets, the longest movement is devoted to what planet, second from the sun?
Venus.
That is correct. Going on a cruise with the mythical Charon might leave you feeling sunk, since his job was to ferry dead souls across what river in Hades?
Ix.
That is correct. Let's go to the monitor. Here's your science question. If a Pyrex flask of boiling water is closed tightly and removed from the flame, the boiling stops. If cool water is immediately poured on the outside of the flask, which of these things happens to the water?
It freezes.
It boils again. Sorry about that. The logo for Bluetooth technology is based on symbols associated with Harold Bluetooth, a 10th century king of what V-initialed Norse raiders?
Viking.
That is correct. What woman who did a detailed study of voodoo in the Caribbean is known for her 1937 novel, Their Eyes Were Watching God?
Norzil Hurston.
That is correct. Let's go back to the monitor. Here's your math question. If A equals 6, what is the area of the right triangle? Answer?
24.
36 is the answer. Sorry about that. During the Revolutionary War, a ship called the Ranger was captained by what same officer who was in charge of the Bonhomme Richard? Answer? Is John Paul Jones. Good round there, Avon. Nice job. Way to get it started. All right, today's second team comes to us from Hiland. Finn, you are the captain. Congratulations on that honor. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name is Finn Johnson. I spend most of my time in my life anymore in my band that I founded with my brother. It's called Low Gap. We've been featured in Rolling Stone magazine twice this year with our picture in that magazine. We tour all through the country, and I love to spend time with my quiz team here at Hiland High School, so I'm a senior.
There you go, Finn. Thanks for being here. Hi, Olin.
Hi, I'm Olin Troyer. I'm a senior. I play soccer, and I'm also part of the band.
Is it Finn's band?
No.
Just kidding. Hey, Chase, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Chase. I am captain of the esports team, specifically the Super Smash Bros. Team. I play flute and band, and I am on the soccer team.
Welcome to all three of you. Thank you for being here. For your questions, we head to Riley, the Indian Valley captain. Riley, we have envelope 1, 3, or 4?
3.
You got it. Hiland, these are all for you. All set? Here we go. In 1934, Babe Ruth joined other American baseball players at exhibition games in what Asian nation where baseball is now as popular as sumo wrestling?
Japan.
That is correct. Because a 16th century explorer claimed he had seen armed women along South America's longest river, the river was given what name referring to women warriors?
Amazon.
That is correct. The elegant Tuileries Gardens border what building? The world-famous Paris Art Museum.
The Louvre.
That is correct. Let's go to the monitor. Here's your science question. Hydrogen peroxide, chlorine, and ozone can all be classified as which of these? Answer?
Reducing agents.
Oxidizing agents. Sorry about that. We move on. Now designated a U.S. national landmark, the sailing ship Balclutha made at least 17 trips around what cape at the tip of South America? Answer?
Cape of Good Hope.
Cape Horn. Cape Horn. Once a worker on a sugar beet farm, what writer went on to win the Nobel Literature Prize for such works as The Grapes of Wrath?
John Steinbeck.
That is correct. Back to the monitor. Here's your math question. What is the next number in this sequence?
4.
4 is correct. After the Spanish Civil War, Pablo Picasso refused to exhibit his paintings in Spain because he opposed the rule of what Spanish dictator?
Franco.
That is correct. Nice round, Hiland. Good job. Oh, we got a good game here. Our next team comes to us from Indian Valley. Riley, you are the captain. Congratulations on that. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Riley. I'm a senior at Indian Valley. I do NHS and drama.
Welcome this morning. Nice to have you. Hi, Alexi.
I'm Alexi. I'm a junior, and I'm National Honor Society president, and I'm a section leader for the color guard.
There you go. So impressive. My goodness. Hi, Marin.
Hi, I'm Marin. I'm a junior, and my favorite animal is the capybara.
That's fantastic. Thanks to all 9 of you for being here, giving up your Saturday morning, coming down to our little program. Thank you so much. Now, for your questions, Indian Valley, we come back to a DTF from Avon. We're down to envelope 1 or 4?
4.
You got it. Indian Valley, these are all for you. All set? Here we go. John Keats wrote many lines of poetry, including some about an English tavern, named for what kind of mythical creature, half woman, half fish?
Siren?
A mermaid. A mermaid is the answer there. Using a stick to measure the depth of water is a technique used by what largest of the great apes?
Gorilla?
That is correct. 8 years after Mark Twain wrote Tom Sawyer, he completed what book whose title character was a friend of Tom's?
The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn?
That is correct. Let's go to the monitor. Here is your science question. Under which of the following conditions will molecules of helium be moving the least? Answer?
STP?
1 degree Kelvin is the answer there. The United States acquired the Philippine Islands, Puerto Rico, and Guam through the treaty that ended what 1898 war? Answer? Is the Spanish-American War. A book titled Pebble in the Sky was the first novel by what man who rocked the science fiction world with more books like I, Robot? Answer is Isaac Asimov. It's okay, we go back to the monitor. Here's your math question. We ask you to solve for x, giving your answer as an integer. Answer?
24.
24 is correct. The U.S. Supreme Court can rule an act of Congress unconstitutional thanks to the precedent set by the court when it was headed by what 4th Chief Justice?
No answer.
The answer is John Marshall. All right, we're off and running. Nice job, Indian Valley. Nice job to all 3 teams. Hey, we'll be back with more academic excitement right after this. We welcome you back to the big show, and we welcome back today's judge from Cuyahoga Community College's Michael Landstrom. He's been here before, previous seasons. Excited to join us again this morning. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming back. Time for us now to get to the picture perfect round. Our team, I'm going to ask our teams 8 questions, all of which have some kind of visual element. For every correct answer, we award 20 points, but for a wrong answer or no answer, we take away 20 points. So hands on the buzzers, eyes on the monitor down front. All set? Here we go. To throw dogs off their scent, runaway slaves waded through creeks like this as they escaped via what secret organization that sounds like Avon?
Underground Railroad.
That is correct. This Camille Pizarro painting is of a French landscape, though Pizarro was born on St. Thomas, which is part of what group of U.S. islands in the Caribbean? Hiland.
U.S. Virgin.
That is correct. This 19th century portrait of a cello player is the work of what French artist, better known for his paintings of Tahiti? Answer is Gauguin. When simplified, this expression is the log of what number?
3. 3.
3 is correct. Its red bands must have reminded its discoverer of military insignia because this butterfly is named for what highest naval rank? Who hit this? Hiland? Go ahead.
Admiral.
Admiral is correct. These names identify the brine variety of what aquatic crustaceans that can live, Hiland?
Seahorse.
Shrimp. Brine shrimp is what we're going for there, sorry. Also known as M97, this 8,000-year-old nebula is named for what wise bird linked to the goddess Athena? Avon.
Owl.
That is correct. It's time for a tour of the mighty Cuyahoga in this issue of Cleveland Magazine, and though we're proud of our river, we know it isn't as long as which river, which begins in Minnesota and empties into the Avon.
Mississippi.
Mississippi River is right, and that's that round. That was quick. Don't go anywhere. We've still got to mix it up, but we'll do that right after this. Hey, welcome back to the big show. We welcome today's advisors now from Avon. It's Todd Sayers. From Hiland, say hello to Don Blanchard. And from Indian Valley, it's James Elmer. Thank you so much for being here and bringing the kids. All righty. Time now to mix it up. One at a time, I ask each team 6 questions. A correct response here is worth 20 points. No penalty for a wrong answer. Any team answering all 6 questions correctly in this round will receive 25 bonus points. Avon, you're up. Are you ready? Here we go. With one word from each column here, you get what 2-word phrase used to describe the mythical Pegasus?
Winged horse.
That is correct. If someone told you a palpable lie, that falsehood could best be described by which of these adjectives?
Logical.
Obvious is the answer. Sorry about that. Rearrange the letters in this anagram to get what 1770 Boston incident which left 5 colonists dead and moved the country closer to revolution.
Massacre.
That is correct. I'm sure this statement is not correct. Change one word and make it correct. What word would you change? What would you change it to? Answer?
X-Men.
You would change the word men to raise. Okay. That's what we were going for there. A molecule scientists call sandman is critical to sleep in which of these insects, often used in genetic research?
Fruit fly.
That is correct. To complete this old Russian proverb, add what barnyard animals, such as Capricorn, in the zodiac?
Goat.
That is correct. Nice round, Avon. There you go. All right, this round is off and running. Now it's time for Hiland. Are you ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Choose one word from each column here to name what desolate California region that's the lowest point in the United States.
Death Valley.
That is correct. If your teacher told you to finish your report in an expeditious manner, he or she would be telling you to finish it in which of these ways?
Speedily.
That is correct. This phrase might suggest sleeping arrangements, but the letters can be rearranged to name what Congress in session during the American Revolution?
Continental.
That is correct. I don't think this is correct. Fix it by changing one word. What word would you change? What would you change it to?
Heaven towards.
Hog heaven to Hogwarts. That is correct, yes. Gregor Mendel did his groundbreaking experiments in heredity using which of these plants?
Peas.
Peas is correct. That was big. This is for the bonus points. You can complete this quote from author Robert Heinlein with what small rodent that now names a common computer accessory?
Mouse.
Of course it is, and that was for the bonus points! Okie dokie. Indian Valley, your turn. Ready to roll? Here we go. Take one word from each column here, and you can name what prestigious series of horse races that begin with the Kentucky Derby.
Triple Crown.
That is correct. A poet who writes about verdant fields might also have used which of these words to describe them?
Green.
That is correct. Stop bothering the chickens and rearrange these letters to name what German mercenaries who aided the English in the American Revolution.
Hennessy.
Hessian is the answer. Hessian. Sorry about that. This statement is not correct. Fix it by changing one word. What word would you change? What would you change it to? Answer?
Kong changes to George.
Kong changes to John. Sorry about that. 2 astronomers at Caltech are credited with discovering distant luminous objects, now referred to by which of these terms? Answer?
Quasars.
Quasars, yes, that is correct. To complete this Turkish proverb, place in the blank space what desert animal that comes in Bactrian and dromedary varieties?
Camel.
Camel is correct. That's the end of that round. Nice job, everybody. That is the end of the round, but we're coming right back with our deciding and final grab bag round. It's coming up right after this.
For listening.
All right, welcome back to the Nordson Academic Challenge. Let's take a look at the scores right now. Third place, 260 points, Indian Valley. Second place, 440 points, Avon. Leading the way right now, 485 points, is Berlin Hiland. Time now for the grab bag round. All three teams compete in this round. I'll ask as many questions as I can in the time that is left. For each correct answer, it's 30 points. You'll lose 30 points for a wrong or no answer. This is for all three teams. Hands on the buzzer, eyes on the monitor when we need it. Here we go. The Stegosaurus is the official state fossil of what western state that also boasts the Air Force Academy?
Colorado.
Indian Valley, that is correct. In 2024, for the third time, American Ryan Krauser won the Olympic gold medal in what event in which male athletes toss? Avon.
Shot put.
That is correct. In an attempt to raise revenue in the American colonies, the British Parliament passed a 1765 act given what name that suggests postage? Avon.
Stamp.
Stamp Act is correct. This green and white flag is the emblem of what African country? Berlin Hiland, what you got?
Nigeria.
That is correct. The first formal frog jumping contest was held in 1928 in what California county, named in the title of Mark Twain's story about a celebrated jumping frog? Answer is Calaveras. The sum of two consecutive even numbers is 18. Name either integer. Avon.
6 and 12.
8 or 10. Sorry about that. Passed by Congress in 1935, the Patman Bonus Bill was given what nickname that identifies both paper money and a 19th century political third party? Answer is greenback. These are the words of what pilot who set records by flying faster than the speed of sound in 1947? Answer?
Chuck Yeager.
That is correct. And that is the end of our game. Let's go right to the scoreboards from there. In third place this morning with 290 points, Indian Valley. In second place today with 470 points, Avon. And the winner of today's academic challenge with 545 points, it's the team from Hiland. Way to go. That was a heck of a game, everybody. That was fun, right? Be sure to join us next time. We'll feature teams from Black River, Sandy Valley, and Pymatuning Valley. Thanks for watching this one. I am Rob Powers. Study hard. We'll see you right back here next week.